Max, I don't disagree with anything that you said, but I want to take a moment to give a personal thanks to Tom Brady. And here's why. You know, for him to achieve what he has achieved, you know what? When you say stuff like this and you throw out nuggets of material like that, conceivably you could charge for it. Give a speech, show up for a public appearance, a paid speaking engagement or something like that. But to just do an interview and to say something that appears relatively generic, but is so applicable to the lives of hundreds of millions of people. Think about you, Max. Think about me. Think about you, Swagoo, Charlie, and others. Who gets to escape the notion of being so accustomed to doing something one way that you're addicted to it, and then you find yourself stuck in a rut because you were scared to alter and to make changes and modifications, particularly at that later on in life in your career. 20 years in, he makes a change and goes out and succeeds. Think about how powerful that is. And I think that it's incredibly important to really extend a hand to him, a hand of gratitude that he reveals something like that. It's not in depth. It doesn't appear that deep on the surface, but it's so deep because when you think about where we are at our point in life, you know, I've quote unquote made it. Max, you've quote unquote made it. Swagoo, you certainly doing your thing. Charlie, I'm more and more proud of you every single day at the great things that you're doing for yourself and beyond. And we work with a bunch of people that do it. But I remember when I was in the newspaper industry and everybody was talking about, damn, how did all of this happen? You know when it started happening for me, guys? When I was working at the Philadelphia Inquirer, but I saw print media going in a different direction. The advent of the digital age and social media and all of these other things. Talk radio was blowing up. Television was obviously the potent medium that it was. And I'm saying, wait a minute, how could I utilize the level of expertise that I've been able to conjure up and acquire over these years and parlay that into doing this? I'm not deviating from what I'm doing in terms of being a journalist, but the medium with which I do it, it might be better suited for talk radio because I was a columnist at the Philadelphia Inquirer before I departed. So it might be better for me to do it. Instead of talking with 800 words to 1,000 words, now I get to talk for 2 hours, or I get to be on television, you know, for, you know, with 12 to 15 different segments a show. To make that transition put me in a position where the rewards that I reaped from it were exponential compared to what I was doing in the newspaper industry because I had the foresight to see the direction that it was going in and I wasn't afraid to make that change. Well, Tom Brady took it to another level, and that's essentially what he's talking about. So I think it's a lesson for everybody to learn. Don't be afraid of change, particularly when it's really the environment that you're talking about, as opposed to you completely going into a different direction and doing something totally different that you've been doing. He's still playing football. It's just for a different team. And he wasn't afraid of change. And as a result, look at him. He's officially the GOAT. And I think it's something that we should all just step back, take a moment, and really say to Tom Brady, thank you so much for letting us know that. Because it's going to give a lot of other people courage to make change in whatever stratosphere they're living in.
Yeah, hits on a lot of levels.
Yeah. I mean, listen, what you and Max said, Stephen A. is poignant, right? Like, you got to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And say that's something you told me in our talks privately. Like, you have to do things that seem out of the ordinary to most people in order to achieve something great. And we all sat here and talked about Tom Brady. Why would you leave New England? You've had all of this success. But he wanted to go prove to himself that there was another way. And that's why I used to get, like, so conflicted with the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick conversation and who was it more. Both of these guys want a standard as competitors. The great ones, like, they all do something drastic. That is one common denominator between all of the great athletes that we've seen throughout history, or great people, or people that we consider to have done extraordinary things, is that they did what most people weren't willing to do in order to either stamp that or they took advantage of a position that they were in. So I think that's what it is from Tom Brady. I think it's profound. Like you think about Jordan go and play baseball, like the great ones. You think about Prime go and play baseball and football. Like the great ones do drastic things. And look, that to that point where him saying there's another way. We all know that there's another way to success. I think everybody inherently knows that. But the ones that are willing to go explore that are the ones that change the world and do things way on a different scale than most of us. And I think that's where Tom Brady is coming from. And to your point, Stephen A., kudos to him. And he'll light the path for more guys to take opportunities that may come their way that don't seem to fit what they're doing at that current time. But, you know, look at situations of the great ones and say all of these guys made drastic changes in order to come back and do something great. Take Tiger winning the Masters. Take MJ coming back and winning 3. Take LeBron leaving Miami and going back to Cleveland. Like those stories go on and on about these great ones that made drastic changes and ended up coming out on the good side.
Yeah, all those great examples why sports
way,
is so much fun and so great. Go ahead, Max.
None of that means you just go, headlong into the abyss, into a bad situation. Tom Brady set himself up. Lovely. Chose the right team. But recall, we were all like, Tampa? Damn, they're loaded. But this really isn't about your brand. You're trying to win. He chose the situation that was most conducive to winning and then took the leap. But it just goes to show you, as you guys are focusing on change, it takes courage to make change in your life, even in retrospect when it's so obvious. It's warm weather, no taxes, great team around him. Who wouldn't want to do that? Well, you think about your own life. Something new, especially when you've had success, doing it another way is a big thing. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.